What do we think, Mr. Blaze the Cougar? He says, I'll tell you what I think. I think it's lunchtime, Hello, everyone. I'm going to get started. Hopefully we have a little service back here in the far reaches of the Wildcat Sanctuary, visiting with two of our special rescued residents. That's Cougar Blaze, joined by his brother Aspen, and I am joined by caretaker Michael and animal care intern Haley to do some feeding for these two boys. So I can step back here, Michael. Looks like Blaze is very much ready for his meal. He's got his brother Aspen still hanging out on top of one of the skywalks. So it looks like Haley has Mr. Blaze here. And there's Blaze coming over to Michael, but he is assigned to Miss Haley here. This is kind of one of the things that you've seen us do, is we have forage feeding. You know, we have our just traditional tong feeding, and then we have cooperative feeding like this, where each cat is kind of assigned to a caretaker or intern, and they're going to be able to come down, and each intern or caretaker will have a designated cat in which they're giving their diet to. You can see Blaze keeps on wanting to do the old switcheroo with Haley, and Mike and Haley are beating them to the punch, and they just switched food bowls. Ordinary with Cougars. That's them kind of just telling us that they're doing things on their own terms. So we like seeing Aspen and Blaze hiss at us. And that's Aspen right here in front of me. And I'm not going to try not to make too sharp of movements while he's eating here. But Aspen on our left, Mr. Blaze on our right, and what an awesome way to kick off a live post here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. So welcome everybody. Happy to be featuring these two rescued cougars here. Aspen and Blaze are two of our wild-born residents. You've heard us talk about some of our wild-born rescues that we hear, a little bit different than cats that are coming from roadside zoos or being surrendered by private owners. In Aspen and Blaze's case, they were unfortunately orphaned as young wildlife, and they weren't able to fend for themselves. But fortunately, they were able to have a home here at the Wildcat Sanctuary where, maybe they're not able to live a wild life as we would have liked, but hey, at least they're able to live a wild at heart life. And we're happy to be providing that for them, and I'm even more happy to see all the amazing people who help provide that wild at heart life for them. So nice job, Mr. Aspen. And Blaze, as you could see, he came down from the skywalk first. He went over to Michael first. Blaze is typically the more dominant of these two. And obviously it looks like he's a little bit quicker of an eater than his brother Aspen as well. Michael, just out of curiosity, are both of these two on the same size diet?
No, so Blaze is on a little bit more. We did give them part of their diets earlier today, kind of keep them in the routine of coming inside.
Yeah, definitely.
Just so when we need to get into their yards, it's easier to get them inside so we can get in here while they're locked in. So they did get a bit more, but we left them with about the same amount of diets for this afternoon.
Awesome. And just because curious minds always inquire, how many pieces are these guys on a day?
I'm going to let Haley handle this one.
Haley, the intern. Here's your rite of passage, Haley.
Blaze is on 5 pounds and Aspen is on 3.
Okay, 5 and 3 for these two. And if the microphone wasn't able to pick it up, and thank you guys so much for taking a moment to feed these two, but if the microphone wasn't able to pick it up, Mike was saying that Blaze is on a little bit higher of a diet than his brother Aspen. And he also mentioned that they gave these guys a little snack earlier because they work with these guys and feeding them in their indoor bedrooms. We're talking about how they're wild-born, so kind of the caretaking and animal husbandry that we offer these two is definitely a little bit modified and different than what you would find with some of our other cats who are maybe a little bit more conditioned to kind of working with humans. So, hey, Mr. Aspen, it is so awesome to see you hanging out like the big, strong, bold cougar that you are. Just looking at a few comments, everybody. Welcome all. I apologize if I missed a few greetings to everyone as you filed into today's live post. We were joined by caretaker Michael and animal care intern Haley doing some feeding for Mr. Aspen and Blaze. down here in Feline Meadows, Blaze is taken to his skywalk. You can see a little blue sky in the background as well. It's a marvelous day here at TWS. Aspen is kind of taking his time, still hearing some of those patented cougar grumbles from him. I'm going to zoom in on Mr. Aspen and make sure I'm catching up on some comments here. Hey, Jocelyn C. coming in with the 200 stars. Thank you for that, Jocelyn. Hey, Sue Button, thanks for joining us. Absolutely gorgeous, says Lynn Short. Most definitely. Michelle Moore, Aspen and Blaze, I just love you from Texas. Well, thank you for that, Michelle. That's so sweet of you. So definitely some similar kind of architecture here in the cougar habitats that you'd find in many of our climbing rescued residents. So we were looking at Shazam yesterday, who had these tall skywalk systems leading all the way across his habitat. I'm sure you can envision some of our Bobcat habitats that look a lot like this, but on a little bit smaller of a scale. And it's a great little kind of strategic position for Mr. Blaze to not only get the lay of the land and keep an eye out on caretakers, but obviously what do cats love doing best? Soaking in the sun. So a lot of that warm spring weather has been welcomed by these two brothers up on their little skywalk there. But off Aspen goes to go enjoy himself over there. Blaze is doing some cleaning, and I'll zoom in on him and make sure I'm not missing any more comments. I thought I saw someone getting excited about their sponsor, one of those being Daria Aspen. She's saying, OMG, Aspen, my darling sponsor baby, and Blaze. Daria, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Thank you for all that you do for the cats here at TWS. That's so awesome of you. And Mr. Aspen gives you a hiss of love, I'm sure. So much to do. Blaze is kind of heading out. Maybe he's going to be heading into his indoor bedroom. Maybe he's going to hang out under that perch or platform over there. I'm not sure. What's to do, mister? And as a matter of fact, I am going to walk over. Here comes Mr. Aspen. Just to show you guys Aspen and Blaze shift, which as a matter of fact has skywalks in them. Hey, yes, are you thinking that the paparazzi has more food, pretty Aspen? Now, Aspen, I think, has the perfect eye makeup on. I've always thought that about Mr. Aspen, is that, if the cat eye makeup, could have an image that would represent it perfectly, I think it would be Mr. Aspen's beautiful eyes. So, hey, awesome to see Blaze going in and checking his indoor bedroom to see if caretakers have been in there. As we've talked about, these two being wild-born residents, definitely have a different pace to life than maybe cats that came to us who have been raised by humans and imprinted on humans. Well, Aspen and Blaze, after some unfortunate circumstances, were orphaned, and obviously during that time of them being under the care of their wild mother, they were taught to, stay away from humans. And so definitely a little bit of a bridge to gap there working with these types of cats, but is one of the many reasons why we give our caretakers the huge rounds of applause that they deserve on a daily basis. Yeah, what are you doing, Snoopy Pie? Are you looking around for stuff? He says, yes, sirree. And Aspen and Blaze being wild-born cougars and kind of talking about that timidness along with Snow and Storm are strategically sanctuary. So this is actually our interior perimeter fence, which is going to go to another perimeter fence, but we're right here on the far reaches of the sanctuary where it's going to give these guys an extra kind of just quiet and kind of most peaceful setting in which they would benefit the most from. Hey, thank you for the grumbles, Goofy. I'm going to walk over and show you guys their shift so you can see that even in their shift yard that these two have skywalks as well. Yeah, he says, well, if you're going to go that way, I'm going to go this way. And welcome, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well on this Friday. I guess I didn't even realize it's Friday. We've made it to the end of the week, everyone. Hope you all have some fun plans, especially with the spring weather happening across much of the United States. Can get out and get active. But here is Aspen and Blaze shift. And so that shift is going to be somewhere where caretakers are able to temporarily move them into, whether they're doing any type of cleaning or placing enrichment, or maybe they're scatter feeding these guys. And, they've been a little bit reluctant about using their shift, but one modification that we did that's helped entirely was adding a pair of those skywalks into that shift. So really awesome to see just the little things that our caretaking staff is paying attention to help get our cats as comfortable as possible during their wild at heart life. Look at you, Mr. Aspen. And that beautiful, thick, long cougar tail just kind of tumbling off the edge of the skywalk there. Just looking at a few comments here. Lots of excitement over the Cougars. I'm glad that we can be featuring some of our more shy residents, everyone. I like this. Beverly Lawrence saying, Aspen and Blaze, fun times watching over the sanctuary. I've always said my cats have wonderful eye makeup too. Well, that's awesome to hear. That's one thing I just can't help. Whenever I look at Mr. Aspen, who we have in frame now, I'm just always so impressed with that cat eye makeup that he's executing. Hey Andres, thank you for that well done, caretakers, and clapping. There's no amount of praise that would ever be too much for the caretaking staff here at TWS. The amount of things that they're taking into consideration to improve the lives of our rescued residents, the amount of things that they're doing just to maintain the quality of life that our residents know here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. There is never an opportunity where I would feel we are not there to be there and thank the caretakers, because it is amazing what they can do. Inyata about Aspen's eye makeup. Exactly. I'll never get it as good as he does. Somebody wanting an eyeliner tutorial from Mr. Aspen. Hey, Leanne, I think that is a good point. Aspen and Blaze seem so much better with humans, and most definitely. That's just kind of going back to how much the caretakers have progressed with this group and getting them comfortable with humans. Even in my 3 years of being here, I can notice an amazing difference when it comes to documenting these guys, be it on live post or if I'm just taking photos. So it really is an amazing change, and it makes me happy that even you all are noticing it on the social media end. But just kind of zooming out here, you can see quite perches, platforms, skywalks, caves, you name it. Live, look at Connect. That's a cat scratching post and a half. Those boys certainly have done a big number on that log there. Wow, oh wow. I'm going to just make sure I'm not missing any more comments before I get walking here. I'm looking for Blaze. I think he is in one of their favorite hangout spots, which is in their den. Hey, Barb Shyrock. Hey, don't worry about that comment. And you're already supporting Bogart, which is absolutely incredible. And that's one thing I always want to emphasize here at TWS is, put your own welfare and well-being first. You've heard Tammy say things like this, is that the cats will never go without. Certainly we do appreciate and need everyone's support. But if it's a matter of you kind of putting yourself on the line and you not being okay financially, well, we want you to put yourself first. So thank you for that comment, Barb. All right, everybody. I am going to keep on moving now that Mr. Aspen is grooming away. And we I'm hoping to eventually make our way all the way up into Wildcat Pines. We haven't seen any of our Bobcat residents this week. We've cruised around Small Cat Track to see some of our serval rescues. We've seen the tigers, we've seen the lion. Obviously, we had a blast with Miss Daisy yesterday. We even got to see the cheetahs on one post as well. So it's time for these boots to get a walkin'. Let's see here. I'm gonna try to read this comment thread. I think some people see. Oh, I think maybe people were just misinterpreting people's comments. Linda Collin was just saying, we know that they are undoubtedly going to have a much longer and safer and full of love life at TWS as opposed to living in the wild. And yeah, exactly. That was what we were talking about, is we wouldn't have it any other way. We want all cats to be wild and free. It's the last thing that we want to see here at the Wildcat Sanctuary is more cats in cages. And for wildborns in specific, like Aspen and Blaze, we want them to have a wild at heart life, or excuse me, a wild life, but unfortunately, due to extenuating circumstances, they aren't able to. Which means we're here to give them the next best thing, which is a wild at heart life. A wild at heart life? More like a lazy at heart life, says the Tiger Trio. Oh, and I say that jokingly. Looks like Dimitri, Mr. Griffen on one platform, Mr. Zeke's on the other. And speaking of Bobcats, I am going to make a little pit stop by Tao and Bogart, because by golly, we were wanting to feature them on a live post, but we had a little scheduling conflict earlier this week. Lazy Tiger Day, that's right, Christine. Tiger Trio, they get their fun in, they horse around, they act like siblings do, and chase each other's tail and really get active. But when the time comes to really relax and take a nap, it's another activity the Tiger Trio takes very seriously. Making our way kind of through Cougar Cove right now, as a matter of fact. You can see the central animal building of Cougar Cove on my left, with a caretaker UTV pulled up to it. Well, and I look across the entire habitat. No Andre on his platform, no Denoma prowling around, no Noah, no Langley. Well, that means everybody's inside getting their meal from their caretakers. So we kind of saw, like I was saying, more of examples of how we feed our cats here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. We got to see a little bit of the cooperative feeding on today's live post. You've seen the forage feeding plenty of times, but also just do it the traditional old-fashioned way, where each cat is brought into their individual bedroom and then fed their diet. Let's see, I'm looking for Mr. Bogart. Mr. Bogart. Mr. Bogart is a Bobcat who came to us a few months ago. Mr. Bogart was found when police were called to a residence when there was a shooting reported, and then found a Bobcat being illegally owned there. It was very symptomatic of the private ownership of these animals, is that they're often being found by law enforcement, surprising them in a way, because they're obviously not registering these pets being illegal. Well, I came trudging through the snow. Oftentimes, Mr. Bogart likes hanging out kind of along this back area. Him and Tao will commune together and spend some time with one another. But I was hoping to get Bog. But maybe we'll get Tao, and then we'll head up into Small Cat Track. Ava and the Peppers have really been active with some of the warm weather. I'd love to see Sky and Celine. Aha! I know what's going on. So, caretakers are feeding in Cougar Cove, but they're also, Bogart and Tao are also in that zone. So I can only imagine that Tao and Mr. Bogart are both in their bungalows finishing up their meal. So, onward and forward. Appreciate everyone's patience today. I'm definitely being a little mobile, but nonetheless, it was fun to see Aspen and Blaze getting their meal. Two faces who maybe we don't get to see on live posts as much. So I hope everybody enjoyed that in the meantime. Chrissy's asking how my ice fishing went yesterday. Well, it was a little bit quicker of an outing than I thought. Maybe I should have brought a jet ski and things could have gone better. A lot more sloppier than I thought. So I had to turn tail and wave the white flag. Look at this. Oh. Hello. We're used to seeing Ramsey, perched on top of a cardboard box. Well, here he is, just perched up on top of his good old-fashioned dog glue there. Ramsey, what a special treat. I did not know we'd be seeing this fluffy butt on today's post. Look at you, Ramalam. Mr. Ramsey, our Canada Lynx resident here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. Ramsey was surrendered by a private owner, unfortunately not before being four-paw declawed, which is something you'll very much come across with many of our residents that are coming from private ownership, people mutilating them in attempts to make them a quote-unquote safer pet. But nonetheless, Ramsey, we couldn't be more sorry for the past that you had to experience, but we're happy you're here at the Wildcat Sanctuary so we can give you the best chapter of your life, big guy, and show you the compassion that you've always deserved. And Ramsey, as you can imagine, certainly loves winter because he's got his big old winter coat on. But one thing that I always love talking about come summertime is how Ramsey will blow a lot of that coat, and just how much fur he's got on that body of his, and just how much comes out during these summer months here in Minnesota. Are you gonna come walk up here, Mr. Goofball? Yeah. Look at that precious boy, Oh man, it wasn't the last time we gave Ramsey a box for a live post, but it was 2 times ago, where Ramsey was just feeling the Holy Spirit or something, and he got so excited and so just kind of just was exhilarated by the scents he was using. He went and ran up that tree behind you. Boop, boop, boop. And quite the display of athleticism there, Mr. Ramsey. And it looks like maybe he's even found something sneaky to rub on here. Haha, I love that, Nadia. Strut that fluff, Mr. Ramsey. Strut it. He says, you betcha I will. There we go, Mr. Ram. Yeah, Nadia, I agree. We're talking about how Ramsey is a four-paw declaw. Henyata pointing out that he still scratches to get those muscles some exercise and those tendons in his claws. We like seeing that too. That's one thing. We were talking about Bobcat Tao and saw her earlier on a live post this week just for a bit. But I believe I mentioned how Tao benefited from our operant conditioning program here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. Ooh, look at this paw. In that Tao is a part of our operant conditioning, like I said, and we are working with her to get her to kind of stretch out her claws and use her claws and help stretch out those tendons that have kind of become calcified and from the forepaw declaw. So good to see Mr. Ramsey kind of doing the same thing in essence, and definitely one thing with both of those cats is just monitoring them and ensuring that they're not in any pain and arthritis that's stemming from this declaw. Because obviously it's tragic in general because you're mutilating a cat, but the long-term issues with a declaw is cats walk on their toes, and you're cutting off those claws. You're essentially cutting off the tips of their toes, and then in turn they're walking on the balls of their feet, and then that's going to cause kind of arthritis to propagate through their body, and oftentimes early set arthritis, because of how they're having to walk on their limbs now. Amanda Peters remembers Ramsey flying up a tree. I was in shock. I didn't know what to say. I had to run back and show Tammy and just let her know that, Ramsey still got a little pep in his step. It was pretty wild to see. Kathy Shore is saying, I'm so happy these guys get to live a well taken care of, stress-free life. Hey, Kathy, thank you for that. And that's the ideal here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. That's, one of the amazing things Tammy did when she created TWS 20 years ago is create a perfect sanctuary for wildcats in need. And it's incredible what we all can accomplish here with everyone's support, Mr. Ramalam. Yeah. I'm so happy we got to see you, big guy. Yeah, I'm sure everybody is too. But we are going to keep on chugging up into Wildcat Pines, and hopefully we can visit with some more residents in there. But before I move along, I just want to welcome everybody and hope everybody's hanging in there and enjoying this Friday live post here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. Ramsey certainly smells something. It's not me, Ramsey. I took a shower today. One thing that I certainly want to remind everyone that we are still in Miracle Match, where your donations are doubled for the cats here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. So it goes without saying, we're so thankful for everyone who's already given a gift, and just like giving everyone a reminder, if maybe you're on the fence, maybe today was a Friday, today was your payday, and maybe you're interested in giving a gift. Well, it's doubled if you so choose, and we certainly appreciate it, and the 100 plus rescues here at TWS most definitely appreciate it. All right, this is kind of fun. You can see our rescue trailers here. We have our big 20-footer and the 10-footer, or I think that is less than the 10-footer, and we have another 10-footer. Or maybe my brain just isn't working today. Nope, that is the right 10-footer. My mistake. So we have our 10-footer, certainly a little muddy here around the grounds at the Wildcat Sanctuary. And then our big 20-footer. So whenever we need to drop everything that we're doing and help get some rescued wildcats back here to the Wildcat Sanctuary, these are some of the tools that we use. All right, let's see if Mr. Autumn and Francis and Belvedere are around. I see Mr. Francis. So I can imagine, if you've been watching the full live post today, that you're seeing lots of similarities between this habitat and Aspen and Blaze habitat. And most importantly, those being the skywalks. It's really an amazing tool that was designed by TWS for our cats to get up high and take advantage of that vertical space. And most definitely for cats like Francis here and Mr. Belvedere, and a handful of our Bobcats here who are more on the timid side. For example, we were just making that post on Bobcat Glen earlier. It is amazing how much these skywalks go to improve their confidence and really give them the sense of security that they need to feel comfortable in their wild at heart life. It's really something amazing and is absolutely integral to our climbing cat habitat. So from our leopards all the way down to our bobcats. So I see Mr. Francis there. Belvedere. These three are kind of a surrogate family. You'll often hear us call them the Bobcat trio. Belvedere and Francis are actual siblings, with Mr. Autumn here perfectly camouflaging, being the one surrogate member of this family. And we've talked about Autumn's story before, but his rather tragic, where both of his siblings, his mother and sibling were hit by a vehicle, and Mr. Autumn was found next to their bodies on the side of the road, and fortunately was picked up by a rehabber and then made his way to the Wildcat Sanctuary. And at that point, Mr. Autumn was too young where he'd be able to fend for himself. But we're happy that he did get a second chance here. And very vigilant. He heard the door open from the pole barn. He says, well, I'm going to keep an eye over here. If you say so, mister. We'll keep on moving. Looking for Miss Essie. And I bet it's been kind of fun on these live posts as you've progressively been seeing the snow melt more and more. There's going to be a lot of water to deal with, but once we get this snow out of the way, we can get the ground thawing, and then that water will go into the ground and life will be good. But it's definitely rubber boot season here at the Wildcat Sanctuary, that's without a doubt. And I'm making our way through Wildcat Pines, coming across Bobcat Archer and Copper's yard here. I see Copper, who I think is keeping an eye on the paparazzi, kind of in the maze of his skywalks. Let's see, Copper could just see the top of his back. That's not going to help anybody. And if Copper's up there, I'm going to just take a wild guess. Exactly. And this is where Archer likes hanging out, in the tree. So usually I'll look for Copper and Archer, and if I find Copper riding solo, then I know where Archer is, and that is usually in his tree, exactly like this. And as a matter of fact, Archer and his neighbor Glenn are two big fans of the tree. So that's just one of the many important aspects of our habitats, is that kind of natural aspect. It's not only giving them a natural setting, but a natural kind of outlet for them to camouflage and hide themselves. So there is a bobcat in the frame there. I can see a little bit of a white from the belly, but hey, you enjoy yourself, Mr. Archer, because that is why we built our habitats the way that they are, is so that you can live wild at heart and get really, really into your natural setting here, mister. So maybe not too compelling of a shot looking at a bobcat butt there, but the idea behind it is pretty special. And I'm just going to be very calm and quiet. I see Mr. Sarge the Bob. And if you look to your left, you'll see Mr. Glenn the Bob as well. And then Miss Morgie is down here taking a nap. We'll get a shot of her in just a moment. Ooh, Judson, you missed a lot of comments. Kathy Barton, if it's anything like the cats at Big Cat Rescue, they'll all love the mud. You know, Kathy, that's unfortunately a common trend among the tigers, is that they do love the mud. And we'll have times where we come out and Jeremy and Simon have turned themselves into brown tigers. And Dash, if I recall from last spring, was another cat who really loves splashing in the puddles. So he will certainly be welcoming the slushy and muddy and puddly season of spring here at TWS. And then Tracy F., you did a great job of answering a question about will they ever be able to be free again? And for many of these wildborns, having imprinted on humans or being too young to be rehabbed and then released and fend for themselves, oftentimes for the rehab process, when it is a younger cat, that is when they can potentially imprint on humans. So for example, Copper, right next to us, exactly that happened to him. Mr. Copper was caught in a barn fire, and he was to be rehabbed, he was to be released, but during the rehabilitation process, he had imprinted on humans, and the rehabber determined that he would not have a successful release back into the wild. So there's definitely kind of those little kind of unique situations that attach to each one of these cats that, is giving them the reason for not being able to live back into the wild. But we have an awesome article on our website, and it just answers, can you set them free? Why won't you set them free? That's the kind of title of the article, and that would be a great read for Carol as well, and just anybody. Hannah, if you wanted to provide that. Managing our social media channels here at the Wildcat Sanctuary, I think the one question I field the most is, why can't you set them free? And that blog does an excellent job of explaining in detail kind of the different scenarios from our wild-born cats and why they weren't able to be set free, as well as those cats, like our tigers, why we just couldn't take Tigress Callie out into the wild and set her free. So that's definitely an awesome article where everybody can learn up on. Looking for bobcats, Mondovi, and Aria, and I don't see a soul. Well, howdy doody, you two. Is it cuddle puddle time inside? It certainly must be. Can look over and see if we can see Sky and Celine. I was really hoping that we can see Ava, Hal, and Miss Belle. They've also been enjoying a lot of time outside with this warmer weather. Not seeing Sky and Celine. Swish, swish, clunk, clunk. Snow, water, and more. Oh, I don't see Sky and Celine. Well, the old paparazzi really is striking out. Oh, I see. Admittedly, it's the temps aren't too bad. We've lost our sun. So I think that's having a pretty big effect on the cat spending time in the outdoors. But I see at least some members of Ava and the Peppers in their little den box there. I saw one face kind of sticking out of the flap there, but I think it is cuddle puddle time for a majority of the cats here in Wildcat Pines, and that's totally okay. We can still go and check in on Miss Enzo and Athena. Well, but nonetheless, everyone, I've certainly enjoyed myself with everyone on today's live post, and seeing Aspen and Blaze, and talking about our wild-born residents, and kind of some of the idiosyncrasies that come into play when caring for them. Look at our little pond here. It is thawing rather quickly. You can only imagine that that's going to be You'll start to hear the trickle of water. That's one of my favorite sounds in the spring, is the sound of running water. And this is this awesome little creek that flows through TWS. Going by not Sarge and Glenn. So many B names and S names. Claude and Mr. Benson's yard. I'm looking over to my right. Claude has a few hangout spots, Miss Athena, but it doesn't look I see him. She says, well, maybe they're not outside, but I am. Lauren Elizabeth Lynn saying, I came in late, you'll have to start over. Hey, most definitely, Lauren. We got to see Aspen, Blaze, a little bit of walking today, but a lot of good talking and good engaging with everybody. Maybe you heard a caroling session in the background, it looks like. You know, I always have to say that the likely suspects for starting a caroling session, it's typically going to be Leo and Mansa. Those two just have a knack for letting it belt. Yeah, and Hannah already answering that question. It's most likely Mr. Leo. He's always got something to say, doesn't he? He's always got something to say. Donna C. asking, do they have their own pools? Well, you know, for a bobcat like Miss Athena here, she's typically, you know, not a huge fan of swimming, as you would imagine, a bobcat, but we do like offering a little above ground pools for some of the residents that show interest for it. So we have little kiddie pools that we'll give some of our bobcats, and more so, they're just kind of knocking around toys in the pool and kind of treating it as enrichment as opposed to getting in the pool and laying in it. But hey, come back on a July day and we'll go and walk around and see just about every single one of our tigers enjoying their in-ground pool. And tigers, notoriously being swimmers in the wild even, really, really do love head over heels kind of dunking in their pool, which is why you heard me use the word in-ground, because we'd actually have designed these pools into their habitats because it's such an essential item for them. I was just scanning around to make sure that I don't see Bobcat Claude, because he's definitely a special boy, and if we're talking about more shy or timid cats, Claude definitely falls into that camp. All right, Miss Athena. Well, everyone, I appreciate you all tuning in to our live post today here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. I am so glad to be kind of signing off with such a peaceful frame here, Miss Athena. Content as can be, and I think that kind of paints an even larger picture of all the happy and content moments that you guys support or allow, the cats here at TWS with your support. Have an excellent rest of your weekend, or excellent weekend, everyone. It is Friday. I'm certainly looking forward to the weekend. Hang out with my cat, get some spring chores in and some fresh air and recharge for next week. So until then, like I said, have an awesome and a safe weekend, and we will see you back here at the Wildcat Sanctuary tomorrow. Monday. Oh, Judson, sounds like I need it to be the weekend. Bye, everyone.